Is make sure your cell phones are either put on silence or turn them off during the meeting, and we would like to start from the for Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Chairman Dove.
Present.
Mr. Davidson.
Present.
Secretary Bosworth.
Present.
Mr. Lang.
Present.
Ms. Mealy. Mr. Alford.
Here.
President Jewell. Mr. Gao. Mr. Jordan.
Present.
Mr. Bourgeois.
Here.
Mr. Hidalgo.
Here.
Mr. Carville.
Here.
Mr. Lane.
Here.
Representative Zarang.
Here.
Senator Henskins. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We have a quorum. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion, second. All in favor? Agenda's passed. Approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bourgeois.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, old business announcements. To start with, I'd like to recognize Secretary Glenn Leday with the Department of Transportation, and please address the board. And we want to thank him for his services with CPRA.
Thank you, Chairman Dove, members of the board. If you'd allow, I'd like to just read a little message before my departure. Well, I'd like to begin by saying it's been a great privilege that you have been given to me to serve as CPRA Executive Director for the last year and a half. Looking back, it's obviously an extremely busy year. As always at CPRA, we do some of the most significant work in terms of implementation and coastal protection and restoration in the entire nation. And so I really really applaud the team, both at CPRA, the levee districts, the coastal parishes, the stakeholders, the Corps of Engineers, everybody we work with, for all the great work that we do year in and year out. And so really just want to say thank you for the support that y'all have given me in this last year and a half. I'd like to give my sincere appreciation and thank yous for the support from the CPRA team during my tenure. They are a great many individuals at the agency that contribute to the success of our coastal team, and so really want to say thank you there. A special thank you to Governor Landry, to Chairman Dove, and to Mr. Alford for their trust in me and the support over the last year and a half. Obviously could not have done that without your support, so really thank you for that. And I've thoroughly enjoyed working with each and every one of you, including everyone on this board. So really appreciate the thank you and for the work that you've done to make us successful. Additional thank you to Colonel Jones, Mr. Elsie, and the Corps team for the great partnership that CPRA has with the Corps. Obviously, we couldn't do that without their support, and so thank you, and wish the Colonel great success in his career as he moves on next month. Obviously, I'll be moving on to my new role as Secretary of DOTD, so I look forward to working with each of you in my new role and excited for this opportunity. I have committed to a smooth transition with Chairman Dove and the new interim director, Clay Parker, and so obviously I'll do anything and everything to make that happen. So I know you know where to reach me, and so happy to help during this transition. But best wishes for future success for CPRA, the CPRA board, and everybody that contributes to the success of Team Coastal. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Glenn, let me. On behalf of the CPRA board and GOCA board, and Glenn, I want to thank you. We put out 2 annual plans. We just finished the 2nd annual plan, which is a very robust plan and moving forward. So it was a big hurdle, that we were able to get out, and along with all this with all the different issues with the mid-Barataria diversion, and it's been a year and a half that you really excelled, and I want to thank you on behalf of this board and myself personally for the great job you have done, and I know you do a great job as DOT.
Well, thank you, Chairman.
Just take my call if I need a bridge fixed.
Will do. Appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Halford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a lot more knowledge of all the projects, largely in part because of your coaching and man, it's been a pleasure. It's been great to have you be part of this board or directing what this board does and helping us through all these projects we have going on. I'm a better person and a better board member for having you work with us, and I really appreciate you. Well,
Thank you.
please, we got 7 bridges though in Houma. We'd like to see. You've been on the job for 3 days now.
I'm on it. I'm
All
working
right,
on it.
so
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And same to you as well.
Mr. Bourgeois.
Yes, thanks, Glenn. I can't thank you enough for what you've done. I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I mean, been knowing you for years. What started at CPRA, but when I first knew you at CPRA, and what's old is new, and then new is old again. So we're gonna wish you the very best. We know how to get a hold of you. We've already talked about statewide flood control program, so we're all in sync, and I'm looking forward to Clay in this position, and. Well, my mic was off, but I'm assuming you heard all of that. So anyway, thanks and thanks for everything. And I see this section is just also about announcements. So I just wanted to add "Go Tigers" to this, and I think everybody should bring that up with all of their presentations today. This is my suggestion. So,
Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything you've done and everything you will do, and we look forward to you. And we still need you on a couple of issues, so don't
That's right.
forget us.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you,
a great one.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I want to announce Secretary Bosworth is now the secretary. Welcome to the board. I know you've been here before. Would you like to say a few words? We welcome you. Nice to have a secretary over here. Wait, let me see. I'm a little slow here. Okay.
I appreciate it. Coastal's in my background. I have a deep passion for the coast. I actually mentioned one of those bridges that is down is right outside of my family's camp. So we had to take the 40-minute trip around. But thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. It's an honor. I really appreciate the governor giving me the opportunity to serve and lead the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. I also have a deep passion for the state's natural resources in general, and obviously I've really always wanted to sit on this board and be able to make a difference. And so I don't anticipate delegating this seat to the board, and I anticipate being here every month. So
Great.
I appreciate you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. And any other remarks? Okay, seeing none, the next is the United States Army Corps of Engineers update. Colonel Cullen Jones of the United States Army Corps of Engineers New Orleans District. And I'd like to, before we get started, Colonel, I'd like to thank you. I know this will be your last meeting with us. I believe you heading to Washington or someplace else after the 25th of July. And we want to thank you for working with us. I mean, we've had numerous jobs together. We've solved a lot of problems, and we're going to continue solving them. But thank you and your staff and everyone for working with all the levee boards and also the CPRA and this board. Thank you very much, Colonel. And I think we've accomplished a lot during your tenure, and we wish you luck on your endeavors up in Washington or wherever you headed.
Well, Chairman Dove and members of the board, thank you so much for the opportunity to come here to provide an update on, as you talked about, this comprehensive program that we've been working on together to reduce risk for life, property, and prosperity here in South Louisiana. And I could not think of a better week to do it, realizing that this Saturday we celebrated the 250th birthday of the United States Army. A small resolution by the Second Continental Congress on a balmy afternoon in Philadelphia resolved to create an army to help support the militiamen that were fighting in Boston. raising numerous companies of infantry, of expert riflemen across multiple colonies at the time to do it. And the other great news there is it took 48 hours for the Army to realize they were going to need engineers, and we celebrated the 250th birthday of the Army engineers this Monday, realizing it was General Washington who assigned our first Chief of Engineers, Colonel Gridley, to get after military engineering. He actually executed our very first military construction project starting as soon as he was assigned, and that was the construction of the revetments and fortifications at a little-known piece of high ground in Boston called Breed's Hill. Yeah, as if we remember our Revolutionary history, that later on became known as the Battle of Bunker Hill. It was actually adjacent to Breed's Hill, but that was the location that the militiamen had identified, Colonel Gridley had fortified, and they had fought on. As we remember in our history, that was a Pyrrhic victory for the British. They took that position, but only with buckets of blood. And the reason why is because the fortifications held and the will of the Minutemen and the Patriots there held. The only reason they took that position is because we ran out of ammunition. So those structures and the will of those people is what ensured the birth of our nation. And I got to tell you, as I've had the opportunity to serve here in South Louisiana, it is the will and resiliency of the people of South Louisiana, along with the integrity of the structures that they help develop and design and construct, that is going to ensure the integrity and resiliency of South Louisiana. And it's just, like I said, it's been phenomenal to be able to do that alongside with yourself, Chairman Dove, Glenn, the entire team. I know I've had opportunities to engage with all the members of the board, both in these chambers and then at your locations where you're delivering these critical projects. As you can see here, my favorite map, as we look from Old River Control Complex to the Gulf of America, from here to the toe here in South Louisiana, as we're delivering multiple risk reduction projects throughout our entire area of responsibility. It's amazing to think, just last year, the New Orleans District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, working with CPRA and our other non-federal sponsors, obligated over $1.3 billion towards these projects, getting that money to work, and we're on glide path to get another $1 billion in place for fiscal year 25. As you can see, everything that we're doing here, we've got 8 systems under construction with both structural approaches, as we're going to talk about with the Morganton to the Gulf system. Then we're also continuing to raise homes under Southwest Coastal. We've just got 4 more design packages, one of which is good to go for release for construction, and we're going to be able to start doing that at scale across. And then we've got some such as the recently authorized $5.9 billion St. Tammany Flood Risk Management Project, which is going to look at another 6,000 structures, along with another 18.5-mile levee system, reducing risk for nearly 60,000 residents. And then 3 more, when you look at Upper Barataria, Lake Pontchartrain, the vicinity, and the West Bank from the city polders, are either in or will soon be in design. Why is that important? That is the federal investment working alongside the state of Louisiana to ensure one of the most geostrategically important locations in the United States is sustainable and resilient. And it's been amazing to work with this group of stakeholders who have skin in the game at all levels. Provide you a quick update on our high water season. We have been in some form of flood fight for the last 5 months. You can see as we've gone through and activated when we've gotten to the Carrollton gauge at 11 feet, but then also had the opportunity, we were forecast to get up to almost 16.9 in the April-May timeframe, and almost hitting our triggers to activate the Bonnie Carey spillway to ensure we only have 1.25 million cubic feet per second water flowing past the greater New Orleans area. Thankfully, we were just below those, but at the same time, working alongside CPRA, the state of Louisiana, we were ready to execute as a team, communicating vertically and horizontally to make that happen. You can see on the right there, that's the team out at the Bonnie Carey spillway actually going through an exercise of opening one of the bays to ensure that we could do it while it was under pressure. Eventually, we did not have to operate that, but it has been the highest set of water that we've seen since 2020. And why is that important? At the same time, we are preparing to look at how we operate our flood risk management systems, such as the Bonnie Carey spillway. It has been the levee districts and the Corps that we're going through and ensuring the integrity of the 900 and 37 miles of Mississippi River levees that we have in this area. And I'm happy to report that we have not seen any areas of high or medium concern. And that is a testament to the efforts to maintain and upgrade those systems by the levee districts working alongside the Corps. And thankfully, we did not have to execute the Bonnie Carey spillway for the 16th time, but we showed that we were ready and able. The system is up and viable, and it will, if called upon and if needed, it will be able to do so the same as it's done 15 times before. The other thing I'm happy to report, and I know some of you may have gotten my regular update on this, but all 17 pumps at the permanent canal closures and pumps are fit to fight for hurricane season 2025. Able to go through and do those long-term invasive corrective repairs, ensuring that we have corrosion protection across 3 lines of effort. Updated corrosive protective coatings, stainless steel parts, and then an impress current cathodic protection system has been installed across those systems. We're going to get the final rectifiers in place to get the impress current systems to their permanent systems, but they're currently up and running. But all of them were able to complete those repairs, 13 across this repair season, with the last one occurring with the wet test on the 30th of May at London 1. And now those systems are ready and available to be able to pull all the water from Sewage and Water Board needs to in the event we have an extreme tropical event in the area and we have to in place the storm surge protection. That would not have been possible without the collaboration and coordination amongst CPRA, the Flood Protection Authority East, the Corps, and our contractors focusing on solutions to make that happen in a timely fashion. So I cannot thank everyone here as we've gotten that to that point. And then as we go into hurricane season, we're able to complete other minor repairs such as the climber screens, getting those permanent rectifiers in place, ensuring that the Greater New Orleans Area and Flood Protection Authority East has the permanent canal closure and pump systems at the committed 35-year design life. So excited. I was very excited to be able to send that update out to all of our stakeholders as we've gone there, and appreciate the coordination with the team here to do that. You know, since this is my last opportunity to talk with the CPRA, I'd like to be able to give some perspective as we've gone through. When I first joined the New Orleans district, as we looked across those 937 miles of Mississippi River levee, we had 22 Mississippi River levee projects either in design or construction. I'm happy to say that the New Orleans district team has gotten after those with a sense of urgency. And then over the nearly last 3 years, we have focused on completing those constructions. And today, we only have 7. 3 projects that are in construction and 4 that are in design. And knowing that we have limited resources and personnel here, we can't spread them too thin. We've actually brought in regional delivery with another $108 million worth of Mississippi River levee projects being executed by our teammates to the north, the Vicksburg district. And why is that important? We can get more delivered faster working together for our system in here in South Louisiana. But it's important to realize it's not just everybody sees the levees, everybody gets a chance to run on top of them. You know, during a 130-year snowfall event, you can actually go snow tubing down them with my kids, which is a memory that they're never going to forget. But realizing that also it's the embankments that are also a critical component, especially when we go south of Baton Rouge. I think we can all appreciate here that the Batcher is either a mile or less in that location. That puts us danger close, given the fact that we need to ensure that those river and bank channel stabilizations maintain that stability so we can keep both the integrity of the levees and of the ship channel. And going back to our history, looking at those 250 years, realize this mission started back in 1880, where we were actually working based off of designs from James Eade, where we were weaving together willow mats and then placing them along the river banks. And today you can see up there, we have improved those through science, technology, engineering, mathematics to present articulated concrete mats. And we're going to the next level with actually roboticizing this process as Armor One comes online. I believe it's being constructed down in Houma as we speak. Last year, we were able to complete 9 work sites. We were either improving the levee stability, the bank stability, or addressing scour in critical locations. And then going into this year, we're going to be hitting another 6 sites, most notably our top priority site, St. Gabriel, just south here of Baton Rouge, ensuring that those batchers, those embankments, maintain their stability, most importantly for those levees. And as you realize, flood risk mitigation on the Mississippi River levee is one of our first missions that we've had here in South Louisiana. We've also continued to make great progress working with partners such as CPRA and the Pontchartrain Levee District to buy down hurricane and storm damage risk, such as for the Hurricane Storm Damage Risk Reduction System for Lake Pontchartrain. Once again, another memory lane, December of 2022, when I was first showing up, what we were working on at that time. Of course, the access roads, or as the former Deputy District Engineer Mark Wingate liked to call them, the land bridges, were still under construction, basically getting us into assault positions to be able to construct one of the most impressive in the wet levee risk reduction systems that I've ever seen, especially as a geotechnical engineer, the challenges that they were able to identify and overcome to do that. Just 2 pile load tests were contracted. We had some sand placement, and the first levee contract was just out for bid. But now, as we move into the end of my tenure, happy to report all those land bridges are complete, and we're no longer in assault position. We are assaulting. We've got the 11 construction contracts that are making progress every day. That first levee contract is 98% complete. We're looking at turf establishment. You are watching these structures rise from the ground. You can see in those pictures alone as you move forward. With those 11 of the 14 contracts remaining, I'm happy to report that the remaining 3 contracts will be awarded in 2025. We've already obligated $683 million to date. Irreversible momentum to get that in place. And at the same time, as we look at getting to completion with the St. John the Baptist and St. Charles section, working alongside CPRA, having integrated the Maurepas River Reintroduction Project into this as an integral component, not only for restoration and mitigation, but also the western component of that system. Happy to report that we also continue making great progress with St. James Parish on how we can utilize the authorizations within West Shore Lake Pontchartrain to complement their West Shore Connector levee that they're executing under the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. Once again, mirroring the success of how we can complement these projects, ultimately reducing risk for nearly 60,000 residents, key industrial bases here in South Louisiana, and of course, the evacuation corridor. So it has been an amazing road working with both CPRA and Pontchartrain Levee District on this, alongside with each of the parish leadership to make this happen, given some of the challenges that we've had in the past, but focusing on maintaining momentum. And I can see a lot up here with Mr. Bourgeois, Mr. Alford, of course, Morganza of the Gulf, going all the way back with just the initial federal involvement in December of 2022. And I say the initial federal involvement because fully acknowledging the massive state and local investment within this 98-mile system of levees, floodgates, and environmental structures for another 200,000 residents. These numbers are burned into my head, just realizing that at the end of the day, all of this results in heartbeats. And we move from there. As you can see, we've completed the preload. We've got 19 features in design to include the Humboldt Canal, Minor Canal, Gulf Intercoastal Waterway, East and West, and Lockport to La Rose, moving those forward and progressing. Just recently, as last week, we were able to go through and finalize the value engineering on the Gulf Interwaterway East and West floodgates. And what I'm happy to report there is, as we compared both sector gates and barge gates, sector gates won. So we're looking at 225-foot sector gates comparable to those that we see at the Western Closure Complex, and we're excited to move that forward alongside CPRA to make that happen. At the same time, we're finalizing Reach F for this year, and we'll be prepared to move out with construction once funding is complete. And talking about partnership and listening to the team, acknowledging the fact that we have funds on hand currently in design, waiting to get through the supplemental environmental impact statement in spring of 2026. But we are working to update our spend plan so we can pull some of the funds that we currently have on hand to supplement the nearly $7.7 million that we received in the fiscal year 25 work plan to get a large-scale contract awarded for Reach F so we can deliver that at a sense of urgency. Currently, it's up at our division headquarters for review, and as we shepherd that process through headquarters, USACE, up to the ASA's office, and ultimately to OMB and notification to the members, and we will keep you updated on that. But like a good engineer, you have to have redundancy and an additional plan, also ensuring that we have capability expressed in fiscal year 26 to the tune of $131.5 million in the event we can't get that spend plan approved in place, so that we are poised and ready to continue to maintain this forward. And I'm excited as this continues to progress, working with the levee districts and CPRA to continue to raise this system to the level of protection that is needed. It has performed magnificently, but we fully acknowledge it needs to continue to rise to provide that what is needed at the 1% level of risk reduction for those 200,000 heartbeats. The other aspect there is the amazing partnership and work that we've had working with CPRA and other non-federal sponsors such as Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to get these studies to identify the causes and risks associated with flooding and how we can buy them down. As you can see, we've completed South Central Coastal, just waiting on those funds in hand to start going through doing those non-structural solutions there. The Upper Barataria Risk Reduction Project, I know working very closely with Mr. Bourgeois. We're at the point of finalizing PED for the initial construction contracts and then working alongside CPRA and our local partners on the design of the Desalmans Gate. St. Tammany Parish, of course, one of our big wins coming out of WRDA 2024 as the largest authorization at $5.9 billion. Once again, looking at nearly over 6,000 non-structural solutions and another 18.5-mile system of levees, flood walls, drainage structures, and pump stations for another 60,000 residents that did not have federal risk reduction in the past. And then, of course, we've got both Lake Pontchartrain vicinity and West Bank and vicinity general resiliency or general reevaluation reports to see how we can either both do levee lifts and also move up towards the 200-year level of risk reduction. And nearing completion, the Amite Rivers and Tributaries, that's the one that we're currently working with Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. That's another 2,051 non-structural solutions in the Amite River Basin. That's going to have a positive impact working alongside those other 34 watershed initiative and DOT projects they have in that area, buying down flood risk. We had an extensive discussion with the Chief of Engineers just yesterday to ensure that we're on glide path to deliver that large program, get a chief's report signed in preparation for WRDA 2026 to have that poised and ready to join alongside the other non-structural solutions in South Louisiana. When we look across all those major projects that we have on hand that provide non-structural or elevation or dry wet floodproofing, that's going to be in excess of nearly 15,000 homes and non-residential structures that we're going to be elevating out of base flood elevation to ensure they're more resilient and those areas can recover faster. And then similar to that, Tangipahoa, another similar approach for non-structural, working with the St. Louis district. Excited to have that one as well as we continue to develop this defense in depth, increasing the sustainability and resiliency of South Louisiana. And I know everyone has seen in the news on the recent pause on the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Management Study. What I can say is we are excited once we have funding in place. We already have a plan to quickly ramp back up. But more importantly, the outcomes that we have had to date have been extensive. We're going to have our large-scale quarterly governance meeting in early July where we're going to have federal, state, tribal agencies all online to review where we're at and how we're going to quickly pick back up once we receive additional funding. We've already expressed capability for fiscal year 26 to the tune of $7.5 million to quickly ramp back up, but just want to share some of the outcomes to date based off the modeling, outreach, and identification of problems and opportunities that we've had. So looking into the future, been able to already identify sedimentation issues from Vicksburg to Red River Landing, seeing that once the MRT is complete, they may have vulnerabilities within 50 to 100 years. That's incredibly valuable. We know we may have an issue in the future. We can start planning for it and have solutions in place before they occur. Then also impacts to navigation. What we've been able to identify through our extensive hydraulic and sedimentation modeling is that a 12-foot channel from Bayou Baton Rouge to Cairo is available about 90% of the time. That's a high B. We want to get to 100% of the time to ensuring the integrity of our inland navigation and our commercial viability. So what would it take for us to get those additional measures to get to 100%? We're completing that reconnaissance report, and we're able to present those to our leadership by early July, and then that will have us poised on how we can either tier that off or continue that within the study once we have funding in hand. Most notably, and probably appreciated by those within the Atchafalaya Basin who have provided extensive comments, through that large-scale hydraulic and sedimentation model, realizing that's over 1,000 miles of river system when we look across both the lower Mississippi and the Atchafalaya, we continue to see the degradation and aggregation subsidence in there and how we can provide ways and means to ameliorate that, both through establishing deep water habitats and looking at other locations where we can provide structural or non-structural solutions. More importantly, and this has been a perennial discussion point, the modeling and the science shows us that widening of the Wax Lake outlet has the potential for reducing flooding, reducing the backup, making sure that the outlet is sufficient so the water can quickly and safely be communicated out into the Gulf of America. That's exciting. We have that science-based back. We can continue to push on that once we have the funding in hand, and then we can also drive that into tiered studies as well to have a focused look on the Atchafalaya Basin that can complement the Atchafalaya Master Plan that's being led by CPRA. The other aspects, and probably the most exciting one that I've been able to talk about, is being able to execute dynamic flow split of the Old River Control Complex. That's a very complicated way of saying we can adjust the 70-30 split for both environmental benefits, but also looking at ways and opportunities to both assist during high water events, so we can reduce the frequency and duration of operation of other flood risk mitigation structures, such as the Bonnie Carey Spillway, which has positive benefits throughout. But at the same time, when we hit the points of low water, how can we readjust the knobs to ensure that we have enough flow on the Mississippi River to maintain navigation and also help limit saltwater migration coming up from the Gulf during extreme low water like we've seen for the last 3 years. So once again, another very exciting aspect. But also, how can we increase and maintain the environmental stability that we have within our Mississippi River habitats? Everything ranging from woody debris, looking at reconnecting channels, reducing flows, attaching oxbows, all of those now have science-based findings that will help support that moving forward. The other aspect, looking at the lowermost part of the Mississippi River. There's always been great concerns from not only navigation but other elements on the management of naturally occurring crevasses. You can see a great sustainable solution that we're currently executing at Neptune Pass, where we're putting in an environmental structure while at the same time supplementing that with sediment retention devices behind there to allow for land building. Why is that important? You reduce the area by increasing land, you're reducing flows, and that's more stream power in the Mississippi River. That's a good thing for everybody. How can we recreate that success? How can we place sand or temporary sand dams in those locations during low water and produce more sustainable crevasses that reach a state of my hydrologist teammates like to call dynamic equilibrium, so that we can continue to maintain that lower part of the Mississippi River and the Mississippi Delta's bird foot. That's amazing that we've gotten all of that to this point, and we're ready and poised to move this into a final array of alternatives into a tentatively selected plan and nearly 13 different tiered studied recommendations, a lot of which you will see here not only within the Atchafalaya but other aspects within South Louisiana. So once again, the team is poised and ready once we receive funding, but at the same time, we'll be engaging with our teammates and stakeholders so they understand where we're at, where we're going, and what they need to know as we continue to progress this study into the future. And of course, everybody wanted to have a quick update on the work plan. You can see we're excited to get another $485 million to work here in South Louisiana. Some areas of interest, you can see the general accounts that we have, but most notably, we're going to have between nearly $2.8 million for both the West West Bank and vicinity and Lake Pontchartrain vicinity levee lift studies, how we can get those to the 200-year level of risk reduction. We're going to get $300,000 to start off with the Leaf Feet area flood risk management study. The Mississippi rivers and tributaries, Mississippi River levee systems, there's get another $5.3 million to ensure their integrity. Of course, as we've already talked about earlier, Morganza of the Gulf is getting $7.7 million. And as we work that spend plan to try to get additional funds on hand. And then the Mississippi River Ship Channel Deepening Project is getting another $177 million. Why is that important? Here, part of those funds are going to be directly used for our continuation of the saltwater mitigation plan update that we're working alongside DOTD in the event that we have to reinstall the augmented sill or other ways and means to limit the saltwater intrusion on the Mississippi River during extreme low flows. So with that, we're excited to get these funds to work for South Louisiana as we continue to buy down that risk. And I think these are going to just kind of play through as we get a chance to talk. But in closing, Chairman Dove and the entire board, it has been an absolutely phenomenal experience getting a chance to work alongside the people of South Louisiana, not only maintaining 2,800 miles of inland waterways across our 17 critical structures, but just the efforts to buy down risk together to ensure that the people of South Louisiana have a sustainable and resilient location where they can live and support this great state. So on that note, sir, I just want to thank everybody for their time, and it's been an absolute honor.
Colonel, thank you very much for that informative presentation, and look, thank you for, it's been an honor and a pleasure working with you and working with your staff at Duran and everyone else. And are there any questions or any comments? Yes, sir. Mr. Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Colonel, for your presentation and for your tenure here in New Orleans. I did not see an update on the Mr. Go ecosystem restoration. Can you give us an update on that, where we stand today? It's been 20 years since Katrina, and are we any closer today putting a shovel in the ground with some of those projects?
Mr. Grant, I appreciate that question. And once again, we recently received funding so we can start moving forward with the establishment of a design agreement and a PPA working alongside CPRA to see how we can integrate that in there. And I think during the next update, and we can also follow up with the key details on that.
Mr. Bourgeois.
Yes, Colonel, again, thank you for your tenure here. You really did an outstanding job. You've always ran to any issues we brought up, and that is much appreciated. I just wanted to give you and your staff one additional compliment on something. You know, we talked a lot about Upper Barataria here. We talked a lot about Morganza of the Gulf, and it was the infamous just turn the pencil and make the two connect thing. And that is moving along well. We had a great meeting with Chris Dunn and your staff. Room full of folks there, and I think we've got a lot of the bugs ironed out between these two to figure out how we can both work together to connect those two systems, which is ultimately important. And just wanted to wish you well in your next assignment, and we'll see you on July 25th for the change of command. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bourgeois.
Secretary Bosworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, as a former Army engineer myself, I just want to say, Essayons, it's been a pleasure working with you, and good luck in your future endeavors, and keep building the way.
Thank you very much, Secretary Bosworth.
Mr. Alford.
Colonel, I wish you all the luck, you and your family, in moving to Washington. I know we've had our differences. It hasn't been with you, and it hasn't been with Duran. It's just been with the system a little bit. And I just hope we can improve it, but I appreciate, I know I saw what you tried to do and all the work that you put forth, and good luck in your endeavors.
No,
Thank you,
very much,
Mr. Alford. Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Chairman. Colonel, I just want to thank you for, continuing to work on the Lower Mississippi River study. I know the meetings that we've had in the past, a lot of what we've talked about is, spinning some things off and then trying to get projects built so that we can build the consensus within DC to show them that there is benefit here. And so a lot of what you discussed, I think, highlights exactly what we talked about, and it really built a great foundation moving forward. And so, understanding I'm exceptionally happy to see and hear the low water conditions may require changes to upriver dams and reservoirs. I mean, that's a huge deal for us, specifically when you think about the Missouri River, Ohio River, and some of the things that we've talked about in the past. So I just want to thank you for staying true to that mission and committing to working with us on finding things that we can spin off. I think this board is going to continue to work hard to try to figure out ways that we can get more funding for that study, and in addition to more funding for the study, building those projects out moving forward. And also, last thing I want to say is, this point that you have here in your presentation, $114 in preventative damage for every $1 spent toward construction, operation, and maintenance. That's something I want to get tattooed on my forehead and have, everywhere that I go, because as you move on to your next endeavor in DC, I think that is an incredible message to carry forward. We've heard different numbers thrown out by OMB, by CBO, but having this number in addition to what's been done on the Lower Miss study is just incredible to have moving forward. So thank all of you for your work. We hope to continue working with you up in DC, and looking forward to continuing our partnership.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davison.
Thank you, Mr. Davison. And the board is clear. I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't see. Mr. Hidalgo.
Okay. Colonel, thank you very much from the Little River, the Chaffalaya River, okay? And, we thank you for everything you've done for us, and we are still being impacted right now with some backwater flooding. And as of yesterday, we understand the split is like 32.5%, not 30%. And we've got some water on streets in St. Martin Parish. Okay, so had one of the residents call yesterday and ask us when are we going to close the Bayou Chene structure, and we said it's not within the spec to close it right now. So when we change that split, maybe down the road, there's some things that happen. But thank you for everything that you've done for us. It's been a great chance to work with a great person, and all I can say is thank you for your service. And I wish I could come touch all those medals and all that you have, and thank you for each one of them. Thank you for your service, sir. It's not bling. That's the real deal, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Hidalgo. And I believe the board's clear. No more questions or comments. And Colonel, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for serving in the military.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
And and I'll see you also on July 25th on the changing of the command.
Yeah, you're all getting a much taller, smarter, and better looking district engineer and a local boy from Houma. So I'm very excited for Louisiana and the progress you're all going to make together.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, the CPRA implementation update, Interim Executive Director Clay Parker with CPRA. Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I get started, just wanted to echo the board's sentiments and yours, Mr. Chairman, giving well wishes to Secretary Leday on his departure and his time at DOTD. Appreciate also, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board that have expressed their confidence in me to lead the agency through the transition. Greatly appreciate that from all of you. I'm committed to a smooth transition. I've been working with Secretary Leday to transition the agency forward, working with our staff to oversee that transition. So long story short, Team Coastal will not miss a beat. I can definitely tell you that. And looking forward to working with each and every one of you as we go through the transition and keep moving forward. So without that, I'll jump into the implementation update. Today's implementation update will be a little bit shorter. We just had that detailed update from Colonel Jones and the Army Corps of Engineers. we'll have another detailed update from our staff and GOSEP on hurricane preparation. So today's implementation update will be a little bit shorter, a couple big updates, and we'll follow up with a more detailed one next month. So without further ado, we'll give our typical overview of all of our active projects. We've got 105 active projects as of this month, 38 in construction, 64 in engineering and design, and 3 in planning. Moving into some specific project updates. One big update that we believe just put out a press release on is the draft restoration plan for Chandelier Islands has been released for public review and comment. That comment period runs through July 16th. So encourage anyone that's interested to go make public comments. They can be submitted through the portal that is linked there in the slide, and we can certainly provide that if anyone's interested. The total estimated cost to implement the preferred alternative for Chandelier is approximately $360 million. The TIG group is proposing allocating $247 million from the Deepwater Horizon NERDA settlement funds to restore vital habitats and fisheries around the Chandelier Islands. Y'all are familiar with this project. We've been updating you on it periodically throughout its lifespan, so really looking forward to this project and happy to see that draft restoration plan is now open for public comment. Looking forward to continuing that process and getting this project to construction. Another large update that we have for this month deals with the river reintroduction into Maurepas Swamp project. We were awarded a $60 million grant from Restore to build the project. That award will represent the final major source of construction funding needed to fully deliver this $488 million project. So that's slated for completion in 2029. And again, want to highlight our partners on this project, the Restore Council, Army Corps of Engineers, and Pontchartrain Levee District. And again, the river reintroduction to Maurepas Swamp is being built as a mitigation feature for another project. So great use of the funds there. Moving into a few additional CPRA updates. This year's annual plan, fiscal year 2026, has been unanimously approved in both the House and the Senate floor. So we are looking forward to implementing that plan come July 1. Just a few highlights from that plan. It's going to be supporting 146 active projects and operation, maintenance, and monitoring of 163 projects. A few more highlights from the plan. We're looking at 77 projects in construction, 62 in engineering and design. In dredging projects alone, we have 21 dredging projects that will pump more than 71 million cubic yards of sediment to create or nourish more than 16,000 acres. This plan is going to have support for over 13,000 direct jobs in the state and an estimated $773 million in labor income. This plan also supports the launch of the Chandelier Island Restoration Project that we just talked about. That's going to be the largest barrier island restoration in the state's history, which I know you're familiar with, but we keep plugging it anyway. We're very proud of that project. And it's also looking for completion of the Lake-Borgne Marsh Creation Project, which will be the largest marsh creation effort in the state, one of the largest in the nation. So looking forward to getting moving on the fiscal year 2026 annual plan. We also recently hosted the Governor's Fellows Program. This was last week on June 10th at the Center for River Studies. During their visit, they explored the center, learned about the history of the Mississippi River and its role with our coast and wetlands. They spoke with our Chief of Engineering, Rudy Semino, who talked with them about CPRA and the wide variety of career paths available in the coastal industry. They also had the opportunity to speak with other staff at CPRA about our projects and the importance of CPRA and the work that we do with the state. So very glad to be able to provide a tour to the fellows, provide them some information, and had a great day with them. Another update, last week, I attended a fly-in with the Morganza Action Coalition in Washington, D.C., to discuss with delegation members, their staff, and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers leadership ways to help streamline and deliver the Morganza to the Gulf project. As you can see from the pictures, we met with Mr. Eddie Belk at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to discuss the project. Also a picture there where we met with Representative Carter. Also met with Majority Leader Scalise while we were up there, but the picture from the meeting with him did not make it in time to make it in this presentation, but definitely wanted to highlight that meeting with him. Had great conversations with all the delegation members about streamlining this process, delivering this project, and their staffs as well. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bourgeois if he's interested in making any comments on this. He was definitely instrumental in this effort.
Bourgeois.
Yeah, just quickly, I think you can't underestimate the importance. I see Nick Mathern's in here. Angela Hidalgo is also on this trip with us, of getting to D.C. and keeping your project in front of our delegation and the Corps of Engineers at all levels, and make sure that everybody really understands where we're trying to go through. We've been working closely with CPRA on some innovative approaches in contract delivery with the Corps, and it only works when we're all towing in the same direction. So thanks, Clay, for attending that with us. I know you had to sit through the same spiel 10 times, and sometimes we sit there and going, man, I'm hearing myself talk again on all of this, but it has to be done, and it's part of the process. We hit it several times a year, and I just want to thank you again for doing it. And Mr. Belk was a big point of this, and the Major General Kelly also stuck his head in the room while we were up there. So getting these people to know you is extremely important. And thanks again to CPRA for supporting us on that activity.
Well, certainly we were grateful to offer support. Like we said, very productive meetings, looking forward to the outcomes of those meetings. Again, very, very productive fly-in. Another update that we'd like to give is State of the Coast 2025 concluded back in the later part of May. This was the largest State of the Coast conference to date with over 1,300 attendees. We were very happy to co-host that alongside the Water Institute and Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. There were 517 presenters, including 40 CPRA team members at this conference. So we greatly appreciate everyone who attended and stopped by to talk with our staff at our booth, and greatly appreciate everyone's efforts in helping make this a successful conference, and looking forward to the next one. One more highlight we'd like to give here. We have a staff retirement. Mr. Kenneth Ballinger, or Kenny B, has worked for the state for 34 years, and he is retiring. Gonna read some of his accolades here. Very impressive. Through his professional work, Kenny B has made significant contributions to the management and conservation of our natural resources. During his career, he assumed leadership of the Coast Vegetative Planning Program and the Christmas Tree Program. He was also the landscape architect of record on vegetative plannings for numerous coastal restoration projects. More recently, he has been a senior project manager of multiple large-scale restoration projects, including Schofield Island and the long-distance sediment pipeline project. Back in 2017, the American Society of Landscape Architecture awarded Kenneth a Lagasse Medal for his significant contributions to management and conservation of natural resources and public landscapes. No more than one medal is awarded to a landscape architect annually. So very prestigious award there. In 2024, Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana recognized him with their Coastal Stewardship Award. And on Monday, the American Society of Landscape Architecture announced that Kenneth will be recognized as a member of their Council of Fellows for his exceptional contributions to landscape architecture and society at large. So our loss for Mr. Kenny B's retirement, but wanted to highlight him as a very important member of Team Coastal, wish him well on his retirement, and we will greatly miss him, but grateful for his service. And that concludes our implementation update for today.
Okay, any questions? Any questions? Looks like you've done a, oh, Mr. Alpha.
Good job, Clay.
Thank you.
Good first deal. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we appreciate everything that the new interim executive director has done, and he really stepped in some big shoes to fill with Glenn, but he's really moving it forward and keeping the projects running. We do have the annual plan approved, so July 1st, we're going to hit the ground running on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Executive
Chairman.
Director Claypaul. Next, the state of the CPRA hurricane preparation update. Bradley Barth with CPRA and Mark Ward with Go South.
All right, good morning, Chairman Dove. Appreciate the board having us here today. My name is Brad Barth. I'm with CPRA. I'm the Chief of Operations, and I see a couple new faces here on the board, so hopefully this will be helpful to kind of run through a lot of what CPRA Operations does during hurricane season, but also what we do during non-hurricane season. And then additionally, Mark Ward from GOSEP is here. He'll follow up on some of the GOSEP side of the shop of all the things that GOSEP is involved with for the same topic. So real quick, in CPRA operations, we're heavily involved with the emergency management of the coast, primarily the coastal area. So mostly our tropical cyclone activity every year from June to the end of November. But on rare occasions, extreme conditions, we will get involved with flood fights on the river or large-scale oil events and such. So what are we doing in the off-season as we get ready for hurricane season? So coordinating with our local partners, the Corps of Engineers, on updating anything from emergency operation plans to getting and making sure all contacts are current and up to date. That's critical when you get into the fire of a hurricane season, making sure you know who to call, where to call them, and how to get a hold of them. It's crucial. But we also coordinate with all the levee districts and the parishes that have levee responsibilities for their flood fighting inventories. How many HESCO baskets do they have? How many sandbags do they have? Equipment and such. We also maintain our LIM system, the Levee Information Management System. That's our gate closure status across the coast. And then we also have HDMS, which is our hurricane monitoring system, which is essentially a gathering point of multiple different sources of gauge data across our coast that we kind of pull in one convenient location for our operators in our levee districts and parishes that operate levees. And then lastly, we'll talk about ADCIRC, our ASGS system, our storm guidance system that we use during events to help guide our local partners on their operational directions pre-storm. I do want to quickly call out a couple folks. Last year, I had a slide in here for FPA. This year, I want to mention Sliffa West, Plaquemines Parish, and then also TCLD of the awesome work they do in the off season. So here's just an example of the May events, some of the May events at Sliffa West for Western Closure Complex for the gate exercise and running of the pump station, world's largest pump station. If any of the board members have not seen this annual exercise, strongly suggest you get out next season to check it out. It's pretty impressive. Highway Gate 45 annual exercise. All these gates get operated, annually at a minimum, if not more often. Same thing, Plaquemines Parish. This is WBV 4.2, which is CNC Marine off Engineers Road, but just a test shutting of this roller gate by Plaquemines Parish government. And then lastly, I want to mention TCLD and their efforts to continue to move Morganza to the Gulf along with our federal partners. Over a $7 million investment last year to add flap gates to the Bush, Cocodrie, and Placid gates, really to kind of help with that relief post-storm of letting stuff back out if it gets stuck in behind the system from Lake Boudreaux. So kudos to them for continuing to advance things and make our systems better, all in the preparedness of hurricane season. So just a little reach out to our local levee districts and parishes. So during an event, CPRA serves as the ESF3 function for GOSEP, with our focus being on levees in the coastal area. So that's our support role. On the flip side, we'll have folks staffed at the EOC, but we'll also have folks staffed at CPRA in terms of working and coordinating with all the local levee districts pre-storm on making operational decisions to close gates. And I'll hit upon that a little bit later. For this ESF function, we help man the Web EOC with GOSEP to fulfill any orders that may come in for dewatering support, pumps, generators, that type of stuff. And this is where it comes in of having the good off-season communication with the levee districts, of knowing what all our resources are across the levee districts. So levee districts do an awesome job of scratching each other's backs and helping each other out, of lending and providing support. And then when they get to where they are exhausted all their resources and can't get that role filled, then they come to the state and we help get that technical over to GOSEP. Then we can procure the things we need to procure to help them out in an event. So post-event, what's CPRA doing? So post-event, as soon as we have H-hour hit, we're already assembling our damage assessment teams and looking to reach out to the local levee districts, and as often as they are quickly in the backyards of their own levees, they can get eyes on them much quicker than we can, but coordinating with them to get our staff out with their staff in coordination with the federal government to go quickly assess the systems as quickly as possible. Because if you go back to Katrina Rita timeframe, you don't have much turnaround time to go assess and make decisions on if any major repairs are needed in short order. So we assist and help with that and the post-event. So the keys here, obviously, is our flood risk reduction system that Colonel Jones pointed out. Great efforts all the way from St. Tammany all the way to the west of the state. But our primary risk reduction features are our levees, walls, gates, and pump stations. Our LIM system, which we'll talk about next, is our gate management system, and then our gauge management system with HGMS, and then I'll talk about, again, ASGS. When we talk about this too, these tools are intended for us to make operational decisions. When it gets into evacuation and those types of things, that's where the state really relies on National Weather Service and the local authorities for those decision-making tools. So here's the LIM system. This system is really our system to track all the gates across the coast. So are they open? Are they closed? Roughly about 600 gates across the coast that we track, and we get direct assistance from the operators on these gates to input on their open-close status. And then if you're familiar with the new Virtual Louisiana that Mark may talk about, this is, I think, our dashboard item for our ESF3 function to kind of show our gate status. But in that gate status, you can go get any kind of neat attributes about the gate, where it's at, coordinates, the gate name, location, levee district, and such. With that system, we can also go ahead and run different reports. So what gates were closed in the last 24 hours, or what gates are open by levee district or parish. So it really is a good GIS-related tool to allow us to mine data and information out of it to support information up to the Unified Command Group during an emergency. HGMS, again, this is basically a pulling together of many, many different sites. So USGS has gauges, Corps has gauges, NOAA has gauges, our local partners have gauges. So it pulls it all together in one convenient place for our levee district operators and parish operators, so they can access this all in one location without having to go to multiple locations. Lastly, I'll go ahead and hit upon our ASGS system, or AdCirc Surge Guidance System. This is really a 24/7 operation starting June 1. So we work with Dr. Jason Fleming out of North Carolina and LSU's Coastal Resilience Center with Brant Mitchell and Dr. Paul Miller. is our meteorologist on our team. And basically what this is a ready system. We're operating and running this system at least twice a day with meteorological conditions. And as soon as we get into hurricane season and we have a known advisory, then they'll start running storm tracks. And what this system does, it allows us to take the exact hurricane, but then see what would happen. Does it speed up? Does it slow down? Does it go 100 miles to the left? Does it go 100 miles to the right? Does it gain intensity? And what this does allows us to get scenarios to provide to the local districts to help guide them on operational decision making. So here's an example where the trigger here for closing this gate is at elevation 4, and we've run the consensus tract, and then we've run a right and a left tract. As you can see here, not too worried about if it goes right, but if it goes to consensus and a left track, we're pretty sure we're going to have to close. And this buys more time in the decision-making process to help guide the local levee districts. This was instrumental last year during Hurricane Francine, with the last 2 main gates to close in the southeast part of the state, have extra timing restrictions due to the navigation areas with the Coast Guard. So really, we only have 24 to 36 hours. We have that window before H hour that we don't have any more time to make a decision. It's got to be really made at hour 36 before the storm hits. And so this gives us some more information to make those judgments. And then lastly, just kind of hit upon some of our frequently used sites. Our SIMS site for CPRA, sims.coastal.louisiana.gov, is where you can find access to the HDMS for our operators. In LIMS has both an outward facing and an interior facing for our operators. Sarah is where we work out of for our ASGS system. It's sarah.coastalrisk.live, a good hurricane resource when storms are in the Gulf. And then lastly, the river gauges, rivergauges.com. So that's all I had to present. If there's any questions, surely be free to answer.
No questions, and thank you. Very good presentation when you don't have any questions. So,
Thank you, Chairman Dove. Thank you, board members. And just because Dwayne said so, it's go Tigers for you, Dwayne.
I was hoping you'd say.
I don't know if you're on back.
Mr. Mark Ward with Go South.
All right. Good morning, Chairman Dove, members of the board. Mark Ward for GOSEP, the Assistant Director for Emergency Management. Going to go over kind of a quick hurricane season update on what we're thinking it's going to look like. And I apologize, I'm not Jay Grimes, so it's his slides. I may miss a little bit, but they're only right 50% of the time anyway, right? So. And then just a very generalization of hurricane prep at GOSEP and kind of where we are and what it looks like going forward. So I'll jump into the preseason forecast. I apologize if you were at the ESF meeting back early June, because this is going to be a regurgitation of that. But Jay Grimes, state climatologist, works with us. LSU put this together based on various sources on what they think the tropical season will look like here in Louisiana. So NOAA came out with their forecast on May 22nd, 13 to 19 storms, 7 to 10 of those being hurricanes and 3 to 5 being major hurricanes. So if you look there, a little bit above normal, there's 70% confidence in their outlook. And then these are just other various entities that have put forth their hurricane or tropical storm projections for the year. Right now, like I said, a little bit above normal. Some things can change on that, and they'll revise these as the season goes forward. So we've all heard El Nino, La Nina. Right now, we're kind of right in the middle of those two types of seasons going forward. As the season goes on, you'll see that it may move in to a La Nina or El Nino, which typically is a little more productive in the storm season. This fancy slide that Jay put in there for me is the sea surface temperature. You can see kind of in the Pacific side, it's a little cooler. What that normally means is that it shifts to the Atlantic side, being a little bit warmer. I encourage you, if you have not heard about GOSEP Academy, Jay puts on an 8-hour class for weather, and he will blow your mind with all of his weather knowledge. We do that at UL Lafayette. Just quick punch there for the GOSEP Training Academy. All right. Look, I'm going ahead. I was better at this than I thought. All right. So this is kind of what we're looking at right now, and that white side of that board is the neutral, and what that means for hurricane season. All those dots and colors are the different models that are out there. So one thing we do encourage, and especially with the social media world that is out there, you see these guys, they put, Cat 5 hurricane 15 days out hitting Louisiana. That those models change very rapidly, and I would say anything outside of about 7 days, trying to avoid that. But there are lots of models, and they're all good at some point and good at different things. So just be careful on the social media platforms out there that like to project a lot of things way too early. Near neutral, we talked about that. Sea surface temperatures expected to be warmer than normal through the heart of the season, which kind of supercharges those systems, especially as they get into the Gulf. So right now out there in the Atlantic, somewhat cooler, but if you look there in the Gulf of America, it's a little bit warmer than normal. So once again, that's one of the factors that go into a strengthening hurricane and those rapid intensifications. All right, and the next thing, active West African monsoon. This is not a good thing for us. More of those systems coming off the Horn of Africa, pushing across the Atlantic with that active season could tend to lead to more tropical storms for us. This is just kind of show you the impact over the last 24 years. We've seen a lot of storms, 4+ in 2 of the last 10 seasons or 25 seasons, and then you see 3, 2, and 1. What we like to point out here is that very rarely is there something that we don't have some sort of land strike in Louisiana or effects from a storm. Once again, it's been pretty hyperactive since 2000. We've had 10 seasons with no impact in that 25 years, 24 years. However, we've had multiple with 3 or more. So Colorado State's kind of the other one outside of NOAA that everybody looks at. 74% chance of a named storm, 46 hurricane, and 18% major hurricane affecting or some type of effect in Louisiana. All right, these little circles here, Jay wanted to point out that these are years that the conditions are very similar with the sea surface temperatures, the African monsoon, and the kind of neutral ENSO. So you can see back in 06, there was nothing. However, same conditions in 08. We had 3, 11 Lee, and then 17, we also had 3 tropical systems that affected the state. So not a great indicator because we've had all the way from 0 to 3 events based on the same conditions. All right. A lot of you have probably heard of the Bermuda or Azores High. That system that sits out there, as it expands, that's what pushes those storms further into the Gulf. As you can see right now, it's a pretty large high sitting out there, and it just kind of sits there and rotates throughout the season. It could shrink, and if you see it shrink, that's when you see a lot more of the northeast or eastern coast of those hurricanes that kind of glide along there. All right, storm strengthening over the Gulf is a critical concern. You saw Francine. It went Cat 1 to Cat 2 mere hours before landfall. Tropical storm to Cat 1 for Beryl pretty quickly there. Same thing with Ida, rapid intensification within 18 hours. Stayed a Cat 4 for 10 plus hours. Laura, same thing there. Long duration landfall. And Delta, same thing. We saw that all the way up through North Louisiana for Laura. So the biggest thing there that we take away is we're always planning for 1+. So if they're telling us it's a Cat 2, more than likely we are going to plan for a Cat 3 in our response efforts. All right, I'm going to kind of jump strictly to the GOSEP side. So obviously there's a lot of noise out there on the federal level, and we've committed not to speculate anything on that. We're preparing for us to be as self-sufficient as possible. I will say this, we've had lots and lots of meeting with FEMA headquarters, FEMA Region 6 out of Denton, Texas, up there a couple weeks ago, and there's been zero change to the hurricane response plan through Region 6. So all of the response efforts are there. I will say there is significant turnover, so the same people that we've seen for years and years may be different, but they will have folks on the ground, and the response plan has not changed. Just a little bit from us, hurricane preparedness really starts as soon as the season ends. But we really kind of start in the April timeframe of ramping up. So we had our statewide exercise rehearsal of concept back in April. 22nd of May, we had our state contraflow meeting with DOTD and LSP, other state partners, and the state of Mississippi. And then earlier this month, we had the ESF quarterly meeting / hurricane kickoff, where we had all of our emergency support function leads there, in addition to a Hurricane Katrina and Rita kind of remembrance, and then a show and tell, and showing how much emergency preparedness and response has grown since 2020. And then last week we had our unified logistics exercise to make sure all of those parts and pieces are in where they need to be. And then lastly, regional meetings. Since early April, we're out in every region, every parish. Almost every day, somebody from the GOSEP staff is out there. Kind of going back to the uncertainty and not speculating on anything, but logistics, we want to make sure that we have that much in our hand as possible. So we've engaged in more transportation contracts, warehouse contracts, looking at doing the points of distribution pods, if you're familiar with those, a little different with contract labor. And then probably the most significant thing there is the logistical staging area. That closed out. We have not selected the vendors yet, but we will select based on some of the information Brad was talking about, where these supplies would need to be. We can set up the logistical staging area for generators, pumps, shower trailers, portalets, all those fun things needed during the storm, and be able to deploy straight from there and would not need any federal support from those. We tested it out last year during Francine in a smaller scale and worked really well. So with all that being said, uncertainty, and obviously at GOSEP we've had a transition in leadership too. So all that speculation on the federal side, the biggest thing that comes down is relationships and partnerships that we continue to forge and build on. And I see a lot of people in the room and agencies that we work with at GOSEP. So I appreciate the support. We talked about the common operating, or Brad did, about the common operating picture. We're stealing everybody's data. I'm not ashamed to say it. If you have a dashboard, we're stealing that and we're trying to put it all in the same place so that our partners can look at it and we can all make informed decisions, especially at the secretary and governor's level. They can look and say, hey, this is what we have, this is what we're projecting. And we think it's going to be a great project. I've been tasked with making sure it was good to go by 1 July. And then my GIS person decided he was going to move on and make his own business. So it's been a challenge, but I appreciate all the agencies that have helped support that effort over the last 6 weeks. We'll continue to build it to July 1st, and even after that, it'll be an enduring project. So with that being said, I probably talked really fast, but have any questions?
Are there any questions from the board? Any comments? Yes, Mr. Bourgeois.
Yeah, just real quickly, I think that, and this goes to both of you, there's so much that goes on in the background that most people don't know about with regards to preparation and then response as the storm's coming in, that I just wanted to thank both of you guys for doing that. I mean, Hurricane Ida, we did have some issues, to say the least, but Hurricane Ida was a major stressor, and I'm happy to report that a lot of, pretty much everything that we were concerned about is addressed. So generally, this is one of those things that goes on, and there's not a lot of reporting about it because it generally works pretty well, and that's just the only comment I wanted to add. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. And
Jay does a great job.
I'm sorry.
Just adding that Jay Grimes does a great job. He keeps a lot of the noise out of the picture, and that's very important.
Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois. And with that, Mr. Barth, Mr. Ward, thank you all very much for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, the next order of business is executive session pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:16, 42:17, A210, attorney-client privilege and deliberative process privilege, and at 42:19, A1DDII. And Mr. Clay, would you go ahead and read from 1 down, please? Mr. Executive, the Interim Executive Director, Clay Parker. Number 1 down.
Mike's not on.
Wait, excuse me 1 second. Let me see. I think you try that. Yeah. And
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks everyone for departing the building. But after we read this, you don't have to really leave till he finishes reading this.
Item number 1 in executive session will be discussion and status of pending lawsuits, legal advice, and related matters relating to Mid-Barataria sediment diversion. First lawsuit is Jurassic Oysters, LLC, Ameripure Processing, LLC, Matthew Tesvich, International Marine Mammal Project of Earth Island Institute, Alert Project of Earth Island Institute, and Earth Island Institute versus United States Army Corps of Engineers, U.S. National Marine Fisheries Services, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, docket number 224 CV 00106, U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Louisiana, also involving interveners, Environmental Defense Fund, Louisiana Wildlife Federation, Orleans Audubon Society, and Cajun Fishing Adventures Incorporated. The subject matter of the federal litigation is that plaintiffs allege claims against the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for violation of the National Environmental Policy Act and Administrative Procedures Act, and against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and National Marine Fisheries Services for violation of the Endangered Species Act. Second case will be Plaquemine Parish Government versus Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority. That's case number 68-526, Division B, 25th Judicial District Court, Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana. Also involves interveners Richard Blink, Foster Kreppel, Kevin Crossan, Alicia Dardar, Timothy Dardar, Ryan Lambert, Michael Mariana, and Harold Hunter White III. Subject matter of the state court litigation is that the parish alleges CPRA did not comply with local ordinances relative to construction of the Mid-Barataria sediment diversion project. Also, 3 items for recommended legal advice on executive session. First, pursuant to request and settlement demand from AWA contractor, strategy, discussion, and recommendations pursuant to legal advice concerning AWA's contract, and approval of recommended contractual documents as approved by legal. and authorize negotiations and signatures for documents. Open discussion would reveal legal advice and strategy that could thwart strategic negotiations of the public body. Second item for recommended legal advice, pursuant to request and demand of United States Army Corps of Engineers, strategy and discussion of permit status, negotiations, and legal advice with USACE and Louisiana Department of Energy and Natural Resources, and approval of legal documents as approved by legal, and authorized negotiations and signatures. Open discussions would reveal legal advice and strategy and could thwart strategic negotiations of the public body. Final item for recommended legal advice, pursuant to request and demands of the Trustee Implementation Group, or TIG, and Louisiana Trustee Implementation Group, LATIG, strategy, discussions, and legal advice concerning negotiations with TIG and LATIG and the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, NIFWIF, pertaining to resolutions, agreements, and/or settlement and approval of legal documents as approved by legal and authorized negotiations and signatures. Open discussion would reveal legal advice and strategy and could thwart strategic negotiations of the public body. That's all the items for executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion to enter into executive session. We have public comment first. Any public comment? Once, twice, three? We're gonna have a vote to enter executive session. We need a roll call, Madam Secretary.
Chairman Dove,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson. Yes. Secretary Bosworth. Yes. Mr. Lang. Yes. Ms. Melius. Mr. Alford. President Jewell. Mr. Gao. Mr. Jordan. Mr. Bourgeois.
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo.
Yes.
Mr. Carville.
Yes.
Mr. Lane.
Yes.
Representative Zarang.
Yes.
Senator Henskins. You have a
We
quorum.
have-
I got it.
You need Mr. Alford? Okay. Okay, we have unanimous to move into executive session. So would everyone please clear the room and
What's the question?
go ahead, Jules. How about now?
Hello. Okay. Yes, we must designate now who can stay in the room.
Do we need to open somebody's gonna needs to? Okay. He has to open the doors.
Okay. She's gonna do C. I'm gonna do D and E. Yes. Separately, yeah, because it's three different items.
Okay. Okay, we're back in, after the executive session. Wait, let me get there. With the board pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 4216, 4217, A210, attorney-client privilege, and 4219, A1DDI. Back in session, in public session. And with that, we will go to Ms. Jennifer.
Yes, we're looking for authority to, the board to provide authority to Chairman Dove to execute the change order in essentially the same form and substance as presented to the board during the executive session.
Okay, we have a motion.
Or Chairman Dove or Clay Parker.
Or Clay Parker, the interim executive director.
Correct.
We have a motion by Tony Alford, second by Mr. Bourgeois. All in favor? Any opposed? Do we need a voice vote? I mean, we need a.
Voice vote. Got to have a voice.
You got to call a roll?
Call a roll.
Okay, Ms. Singer. Y'all got to bear with me here because this is a little bit different.
Chairman Dove,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson, Secretary Bosworth,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Melius, Mr. Alford,
Yes.
President Jewell, Mr. Gao, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Bourgeois,
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo,
Yes.
Mr. Carville,
Yes.
Mr. Lane, Representative Zarang.
He can't vote.
He's official, ex officio.
Right.
And we have a quorum. Okay, then you got to go to the next one.
Yes.
Read it, Jules.
And then the next one is going to be to authorize Chairman Gordon Dove and/or Executive Director Jared Clay Parker to negotiate permit status with the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources to take all necessary actions that they deem in their judgment appropriate with regards to the permit and to sign all documents regarding the actions that they take with the permits, whether the permits are suspended, terminated, or modified, and as approved by legal.
Okay. We moved by Mr. Bourgeois,
Second.
second by Mr. Dalgo. Madam, would you Madam Secretary, call a roll, please?
Chairman Dove,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson, Secretary Bosworth,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Melius, Mr. Alford,
Yes.
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Bourgeois,
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo,
Yes.
Mr. Carville, Mr. Lane.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. Okay, and the third one?
E, to authorize Chairman Dove and/or Executive Director Jared Clay Parker to negotiate with the Trustee Implementation Group, the Louisiana Trust Implementation Group, and National Fish and Wildlife Federation pertaining to any agreements, resolutions, settlements, and as regards to the termination and/or handling of the project with those groups and any alternative projects, and as approved by legal.
Okay, we have a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we have Mr. Bourgeois, second by Mr. Hidalgo. And Madam Secretary, call a roll, and we have a quorum.
Chairman Dove,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Secretary Bosworth,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Ms. Melius, Mr. Alford,
Yes.
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Bourgeois,
Yes.
Mr. Carville,
Yes.
Mr. Lane,
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Hidalgo.
Yes.
That's, and how many is that? Okay, what's that? Okay, do we have any public comment? Public comment? Once, twice, three times? Jules, is this an order to adjourn? Y'all completed all your legal?
We finished.
Clay, everything's good with you, Inga? With that, a motion to adjourn,
Over there somewhere.
to adjourn?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bosworth.
Bosworth, second by Bourgeois.
Wait, who?
Motion by Boswell to adjourn,
Okay.
Bourgeois.
Okay, a motion by Bosworth, second by Bourgeois to adjourn. Thank y'all. And look, thank y'all for all y'all patience and questions, and thank you very much.